Hey, you're listening to episode number 17 of Rock-N-Brews, the Union Station Brewing Company podcast. I am John Wheat. I own the brewery, and I am here by myself. I'm on vacation, actually, and I just wanted to record this episode alone, kind of as a supplement to the social media post that was released this morning. I'm hoping to kind of answer all of the questions that you will have related to that announcement. So if you're not on social media, then I guess I'll tell you in a few short weeks, December 31st of this year will be our last day of business. I know that's a shocker to most of you. Maybe some close friends felt it coming. Maybe, we had a deep discussion after a case of beer or something like that. But we've mostly played this one pretty close to the vest, just internally talking through things. This all started as a small dream. I just really wanted to brew beer in the corner space that has all of my tanks here. And I wanted to brew it for the restaurants in town. I thought that'd be really cool. Back then, I had no idea what the laws were related to that, let alone in Georgia, which is in the bottom 3 states that are brewery friendly. So we've had to face a whole bunch of adversity as far as that goes with this place. But, the dream grew, obviously, from that little small space, and I leased the next storefront from Doc Madry, and then that grew, and then I leased the next one, and then decided to buy the building. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history. The whole sort of business plan was to start small and grow into the space. We started with just axe throwing. That opened first. We first started with 4 lanes. We opened, I think it was the Christmas parade, or that weekend. And shortly after that, I was licensed to brew. So I would brew. We had a 4-headed kegerator over there, and I would do really small batches, cycling through recipes and all that sort of stuff. We added 4 more lanes of axe throwing. And then I started working on the tap room side of the brewery. And once the floor was in and the brew house was all set up and the tap system was built and installed, then I ramped up and I did more beer. And that was just on tap over there, and we would run beer back and forth because the tap room at the time was just a disaster of construction. I was doing a majority of it myself, so it was a slow go. I had a full-time job. So all of this was really nights, weekends, vacation, and, quote unquote sick time. So, the renovations finally were completed, and we had our grand opening and ribbon cutting celebration. It was a ginormous party. I had asked the city for a permit for the parking lot across the street, for the street to be shut down. We had a bounce house and food trucks and vendors and 4 bands lined up that weekend, and it was a riot. It was absolutely fantastic. I had family and friends come down from up north, and we just had an absolute blast of a time. The best part of that probably was that nobody would let me work. So I just had to kind of walk around and, hang out with people, have beers with people, talk, and kind of relax, and it was absolutely fantastic. So we opened with beer and cider and seltzer at the time, and we were brewing a plain seltzer just like we do now, and then we just had a bunch of syrups. That list of syrups has expanded. If you've been in the brewery, there's about 44 regulars, and then I think we have 11 or 12 or something sugar-frees, and so that grew. About 4 or 5 months later, I guess we added wine to our offering. We didn't have that for our grand opening, and that was just to serve. We weren't making wine. Then I'm on a listserv, so I'm part of the Georgia Brewers Guild, and somebody posted something about making cider and what permits and things you had to have. And I found out I was making it illegally that whole time, because apparently only wineries and cideries can manufacture hard cider. So that was resolved, fairly straightforward. It wasn't really quick because it was the federal government, but I basically had to become licensed as a winery as well. So we are a brewery and a winery. And it was just more red tape. I had to resubmit my floor plans. I had to map off dedicated space for the quote winery and shared space for the winery, dedicated equipment, shared equipment, all that sort of stupid stuff, and then had to keep logs and all this other stuff. So probably 3-4 weeks later, we were a winery, which was pretty wild if you think about it. About a year after our grand opening, our kitchen was opened. So fun fact, in Georgia, there are breweries licensed. There's a license for breweries and a license for brew pubs. And so we were licensed as a brew pub, and a brew pub must have food. And we were doing food trucks for a little while. Everybody is aware of that whole debacle. But somehow the state got word that I didn't have a working kitchen, and so they sent down somebody, and we had a nice little visit. It was very friendly. He wasn't adversarial or anything like that, but he gave me 6 months we both agreed on. It wasn't like a mean thing to build out a kitchen. And so I went along and did that, but it ended up being about 8 months instead, because where the kitchen was going was such a disaster in the back and needed all new floor, and I'm talking floor joists, and then I had to do a raised floor for the main kitchen. It was just a disaster. So it took much longer, used way more money than I had expected. I mean, you're usually over budget on things, and this was like craziness over budget. So finally, our kitchen opens. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. It's going to be our grand open for the kitchen. Again, we have the parking lot and the street and bands. We have a car show and a truck show, and we're going to make this a huge deal. And Helene comes through. If you're not from here, Helene was a hurricane, and it sort of bitch smacked Jessup a little bit. Not as bad as the surrounding areas or what it did to other states. So we were very thankful and lucky with that. But you can listen to past episodes of the podcast to hear about that nuts, crazy stuff that happened here. But yeah, so we had just a crap ton of food all prepped and whatever, and we're trying to keep it all cold with generators and fun. Fast forward this year, a few months ago, we added liquor. Again, serving, not manufacturing. And, I only did that. I didn't want to get liquor because I didn't want to be a bar. And I didn't want the bar crowd, if I can say that. I didn't want a bunch of drunk people coming in, drinking their demons away, and me having to exercise those demons with a shotgun or a baseball bat. So I was very reluctant to do that. But times were kind of tough, and I thought maybe liquor would boost things a little bit. We didn't do a huge giant full bar, but I think we have probably 13, 14 bottles of liquor, and you can do all your normal drinks and that sort of stuff. And interestingly, that didn't really bump sales at all, because I had a lot of beer drinkers that were drinking craft beer flip over to liquor, and now they're only drinking 1 or 2 drinks instead of 5 or 6 beers. So that didn't really help out as expected. But, we just kept kind of baby stepping our way, small increments, toward a grander plan. And that grand plan was really in my grand opening speech. And this is a quote. I went back and found it. It says, "I'm the place a few of you come when you fight with your spouse," still to this day. "I'm the place you come when you've had a bad day and need to talk. I'm the place you come when you have fantastic news to share. I'm the place you come because you have a few minutes before you have to be somewhere else. It's going to sound funny, but you come here because it was built to be here when you need it." And that was really the vision, if I had to boil it all down. I wanted to be the local drinking hole where you just came to hang out. You just came to grab a beer, came to meet some friends, that sort of stuff. I have heard horror stories on my side of the bar. You guys have opened up, and I don't know that I've helped other than just by listening. I might be old, but I don't have a whole lot of wisdom. I'm not that old wise bartender that can talk you off a ledge or anything like that. Most of the things I heard, I can't even relate to. Then on the flip side of that, I've heard news, fantastic news, before important people in their lives have heard it. I've known people have been pregnant before their parents knew. I've heard about promotions before spouses. I've heard, just fantastic things. It was such a privilege to be there and to share all this for you. So, if I had a checklist, I think I built it, and it was here for you. I guess it was kind of there for me too, because I needed it probably as much as you guys did. So we all kind of built this together, to be here for each other. So I have 3 amazing people that work here. If you've listened to the podcast or you've visited, you know them all. My daughter Becca, my best friend Thomas, and his smart-ass funny fiance Carrie. So to say I couldn't have gotten this far, I don't want to get all emotional, without them is an understatement. Thomas has talked me off a ledge more times than I can count. Becca and Carrie have been there and stepped up anytime I needed them. I really could not ask for better people, not just as employees, but just in my life. Laura, who isn't here anymore, helped in the kitchen and got that in order. I guarantee we would have failed health inspections had she not been there. Brewery employees are different than restaurant employees. They're amazing people, and they want the same things. I could not have picked better people to be lined up with my vision, to care about the place, to care about you. There were a few times when we took some of you home. Or made sure that you got home safe. Because we do care. Not all other places can say that. Shit. So, with this ginormous place, even with a great team like this, it's still a lot. I'm the boss, the brewer, the bartender, I'm HR, even though HR doesn't care about sexual harassment, thankfully. The accountant, the cook, the plumber, the electrician, for better or worse. I do the front of house and back of house inventory. I order the food, brewing supplies, and ingredients. I schedule the brews, I schedule the music, schedule the entertainment, the parties. We do menu planning, or I do menu planning. I handle all of the inspections, make sure everything is all ready for those. Any SOPs we have that nobody reads because, they're usually mostly just for me, so I know what the hell needs to be done. Local, state, federal compliance issues. I keep up with the beer industry and the laws and the regulations of pricing the beer. And I do it all, but best of all, I get to taste the beer, and I get to drink with you guys. But it's a lot. And after 5 years with handling the renovations, it's taken a toll, physical and mentally. Now I'm healthy, I'm not dying or anything like that. But we haven't been successful enough to hire a front of house manager, a back of house manager, somebody to manage axe throwing, to really take that to the next level. So I keep doing it all, over and over and over. And that's when everything works. In this place, things break down all the time. And when you're already stressed out about keeping the place running and fighting to keep it open, when something breaks, something breaks in me too. And it has to be repaired and maintained. So that's yet 2 more jobs that I have to do. And I'm spent. Like I said, my health is good, but it's starting to take a hit. I'm stressed. My blood pressure is high. It's never been high in my entire life. So, like, I love craft beer and the community, but like, this place isn't worth giving my life for. I do love it. I built it. It's my place. It's my home. Literally live here. Upstairs. But it's not worth my life. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. So to not drag this out any further, I've accepted an offer for someone to purchase the building. I have not renewed my licenses for 26, so December 31st will be it for us here at the brewery. The train is literally leaving the station on the 31st. I'll still be around. I need to unload some equipment and, move everything out and do all that sort of stuff. So watch social media. We might have an open door yard sale where you can come in and buy stuff. That'll be in January, so don't walk into the brewery offering to buy shit yet. So we're going to get through this. You guys are going to be fine. You'll find another cool place to hang out. You did before I was around. I have no idea what they're going to do here. I know they're going to renovate upstairs, and it's going to be amazing. 100% it's going to be amazing. I know they love what I've done downstairs, but I don't know, if they're going to break it back up into different storefronts. But, I have no clue. I can only guess. I can only hope, but, I don't know. And so I guess, that's that. It's a financial decision. It's a lot financial. It's a lot stress related. It's been very, very emotional for me, as you can tell, because I couldn't make it through here without starting to get emotional. There have been very, very, very highs and very, very, very lows. And so that all filtered into the decision. My team is supportive of the decision. I've kept them in the loop the entire time. Right from the very beginning, where I was having doubts and where selling and getting out was sort of creeping into my brain. Had some talks about that with some people, and I think it's best for it to happen. So we're winding down the last few weeks of the month, and that will be that. Mug Club members, y'all are going to get punch cards for 10 free mugs of beer, which is, $70, $80 value, which is more than half what you paid, or maybe all you paid. I don't even keep track of any of that anymore. But we're going to have to drink through the beer, y'all. So you got to be champs and come on in and drink it up. You guys, Mug Club members, can take your mugs at any point. Again, I'll be around still there in January. I'll probably still be living upstairs through January. So, just ping me and schedule a time. You can grab your mug if you forget to this month. I guess that's it. That's all I have. It was a wild, wild ride. But the ride has stopped, and I want to get off. And that's it for me. I just wanted to have something that sort of answers the questions, takes you through my journey in 15, 20 minutes. Just a place to point people when they come in and they're like, what are you doing? Why are you selling? Go listen to the podcast. It'll save everybody a whole lot of time, a whole lot of anxiety, hopefully a whole lot of tears. Because if I have to tell this story to every person that comes in asking why, there's going to be a whole lot of crying going on. So thank you for your support over the years. You guys have been amazing. I never have had this many friends in my life, and hopefully we'll all still continue to be friends, and we can find some cool place to drink where I can actually relax and have a beer with y'all. So with that, I'll just sign it off with cheers, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the Rock-N-Brews podcast. Come visit us at Union Station Brewing Company, 106 Southwest Broad Street, Jessup, Georgia. Union Station Brewing Company, craft beer just got better.